Hi, everyone. In case you don't know who I am, my name is Caden Duke. I was born in Colorado, and I came out here to Summit Christian College for college. I've been a Christian since I was 6, and I've grown in my own relationship with God as I've gotten older thanks to my friends and my family. When I was younger, I didn't really know the difference between happiness and joy, but I've always been a very intellectual person, so of course I looked up the word. And I found that dictionary.com defines joy as the emotion of great delight or happiness caused by something exponentially good or satisfying. But I just feel like this definition isn't good enough for the word. Because for me, joy is so much more than that. Allow me to explain. When I was younger, my family and I went to Disneyland, supposedly the happiest place on earth. And to be honest, we did have a good time. It was fun. I was very happy. I was able to spend time with my family, which is always a good thing. But I wouldn't be able to tell you a single thing that happened on that trip. Like, I'd be able to tell you we went on some rides, but like, I wouldn't be able to tell you what we did at every point during the day. And that's not just because I have bad memory. It was because it wasn't very memorable. You have fun, it's great for the time, you forget about it, you know, a few months later, you don't really think about it anymore. And I don't remember much of that trip, except for one event. So, a little bit of context. My family and I went on this ride to the California Adventure part of the theme park. It was one of those Cars rides, but it was a roller coaster, and I don't like roller coasters. I don't like going fast, especially if I can't control the speed. I tend to just, when I get on a roller coaster, I kind of start dying. And by that, I mean, I'll start holding my breath until I get like blue in the face, and whatever's nearby, I'll grab onto it and like clench my eyes shut like this and just grab onto something. I'm terrified of roller coasters, and I can't get over the fear of them, so I just don't even bother with them. But the rest of my family really enjoyed the ride. So my dad went out and bought these fast pass tickets for it so that we could go on the ride again. But it was kind of coming close to the end of the day, and I didn't want to go on the ride. I was already tired from the long day. I bared through a couple other roller coaster style rides just to spend time with my family, but I hate them. I hate them with a passion. And so I was like, I don't want to go on this ride again. And so my mom was like, well, that's fine. Here, you take my brother and or you take the other two kids out on the ride, and I'll stay back here with him. And I was like, well, okay, that makes sense, I guess. And he was a little hesitant at first, but he did go, and they had a great time. But my mom now had these two tickets, and we're like, well, what do we do with these? Like, we can't, like, we don't want to use them, but we don't want to waste them either because we spent money on them. So we started looking for someone to give the tickets to so that they could skip the like hour and 45-minute line and so they could go on the ride before the end of the day. And we're waiting, and I'm a pretty young kid, and I just don't want to stand there anymore. I want to go sit down on a bench or whatever. So I'm like, well, let's just give them to anyone. She's like, no, no, no. We should wait for a group of two people so that both of them can ride together and they're not like missing out on their party, or they're not separate from their group. So we wait and we wait and we wait and we keep on waiting, and this is like, I don't know, probably 30, 45 minutes in, we're waiting. The line to get on the ride is now like 2 hours and some extra minutes. I think it was like 2 hours and 10 minutes. And my mom spots this older gentleman and what we assumed to be his grandson, because he was, he looked like he was probably in his 70s, maybe 80s. Probably not having kids of his own. It was probably his grandkid. So, and we're listening to him talking to him. He's like, well, we can't go on this ride today because the line's too long, and then we won't be able to make it back to the hotel for your bedtime. And me and my mom, we look at each other, and we just kind of know that this is the people that we should give the tickets to. So we run up and we flag him down, and we're like, hey, we have these tickets here. And we kind of explain to him that I didn't really like the ride because I don't like going on roller coasters. And we already had the tickets, so we were just going to give them away. And the guy's like, well, okay, do you want me to pay you for them or something? And we're like, no, 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 just take them, go have fun, because, we went all out on this vacation, so we were okay spending a little extra money for the fast pass tickets and all that and not getting our money back. So anyway, they go off. They're able to get on the ride before the kid has to go to bed. The grandpa clocks it or does all the math. He's like, hey, we could still do the ride and then get back before you need to be in bed. So they go, and my mom and I just had this like overwhelming, I don't even know how to explain it. It was just like, I can't explain it, but happiness is something that happens, and you're happy for a little while, and you're smiling, and you're like, hey, that was fun, but you forget about it. It's something that comes and goes. But joy, on the other hand, it comes from memories it's something you'll remember. You'll remember looking back on that moment and being like, we were able to do something for someone without getting any credit for it. And it's just the greatest feeling ever. It makes you want to go out and do it again and again. And whatever brought you that feeling, you want to keep doing it. And that is joy. And sorry about that. It's not just any joy either, because being able to help someone out is something that God would want you to do, and He grants joy as a gift to people to encourage them to do something that pleases Him. And so, I think Solomon, the wisest man on earth, says it best in Proverbs: "A joyful heart is a good medicine, but crushed spirit dries up the bones." Now, joy is like a medicine. It brings you up and you feel way better after you're able to do something. And that crushed spirit, it's kind of like the happiness. Like, yeah, you're good for a while, but since you don't have the joy that comes from God, you just forget about it, and the memory becomes like, oh, okay, anyway, what's new in my life? And so, what I'm trying to get across here is when you act in God's plan, He rewards you with joy. And that joy is something that you come to crave. You want to experience over and over and over again. And God will give you His joy because He takes pride in you when you make a choice for Him. So I'd like to encourage you to go out there. Find out what gives you joy. Find out what makes you want to do something again and again and again. And keep doing that. And whatever it is, if you find it and pursue it, God will lead you along the way. He'll never leave you. He'll always be there to grant you joy whenever you do something that pleases Him. Thank you.